Hello, and welcome to Vox Herald, the podcast bringing you the stories that matter to Canadians. I'm your host, Nguyen, and today we're diving into a shocking cross-border crime story that's hit close to home. A massive grandparent scam. ALLEGEDLY, masterminded by a Canadian, Gareth West, has defrauded American seniors out of $30 million. This scam, run from call centers near Montreal, has raised serious questions about elder fraud, organized crime, and Canada's role in tackling transnational scams. We'll unpack what happened, how it impacts Canadians, and what it means for our communities. Stay tuned for an in-depth look at this disturbing case and its broader implications. Let's get started. Let's set the scene. On July 4, 2025, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrested Gareth West in Quebec. U.S. authorities have called him the ringleader of one of North America's largest grandparent scams, a scheme that preyed on elderly Americans across 46 states, stealing over $30 million. The scam was simple but sinister. Callers, posing as panicked grandchildren, contacted seniors, claiming they were in trouble arrested after a car crash or injured and urgently needed bail money. Victims were pressured to act fast and keep quiet, often connected to fake lawyers or couriers who collected cash or cryptocurrency. This operation, allegedly run from call centers in and around Montreal, employed dozens of people and used spoofed U.S. phone numbers to deceive victims. Gareth West, a 38-year-old from Burlington, Ontario, presented himself as a successful real estate developer, flaunting luxury cars, high-end properties, and a yacht. But behind this facade, authorities say he orchestrated a complex criminal network that exploited the trust and emotions of vulnerable seniors. What makes this story resonate for Canadians? First, it's a stark reminder that crime doesn't stop at borders. Montreal, a vibrant cultural hub, has unfortunately become a hotspot for these scams, with police linking some operations to organized crime, including potential ties to the Montreal Mafia. Second, elder fraud is a growing issue in Canada too. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre reported that Canadians lost $3.2 million to grandparent scams in 2024, down from $11.6 million in 2023, thanks to arrests like these. But the problem persists, and it hits our seniors' hardest people who've worked their whole lives only to lose their savings to deceit. Let's break down the scam's mechanics. Callers, often young and trained to sound distressed, would target seniors with scripted stories. "Grandma, I've been arrested. I need help." They'd exploit the emotional bond grandparents have with their families, urging secrecy to prevent embarrassment. Then, accomplices posing as lawyers or bail bondsmen would arrange cash pickups or cryptocurrency transfers, often using vacant homes as drop-off points. In one Virginia raid in 2024, police caught scammers in the act, making calls to elderly victims. The economic impact is staggering. U.S. authorities estimate losses at $30 million. But globally, elder fraud costs seniors billions annually. A 2024 NASDAQ Verifin report found that 1 in 10 elderly Americans is targeted yearly, with global fraud losses reaching $77.7 billion. For Canada, the ripple effects are real. Our trade and diplomatic relations with the U.S. depend on trust. And cross-border crimes like this strain that relationship. Plus, the resources spent on investigations by the RCMP, Secret du Quebec, and U.S. agencies like Homeland Security and the IRS divert funds from other Canadian priorities, like healthcare or housing. Now, let's talk about the social implications. Elder fraud doesn't just steal money, it erodes trust. Seniors, whether in Canada or the U.S., may become wary of answering phones or trusting strangers, isolating them further in an already lonely demographic. In Quebec, where many of these call centers operated, Communities like Pointe-Claire and Vaudreuil-Dorion are grappling with the stigma of being linked to organized crime. And for Canada's diverse population's Indigenous elders, immigrant seniors who may face language barriers, these scams exploit vulnerabilities that our systems haven't fully addressed. To dig deeper, let's look at the data and broader context. The U.S. indictment, unsealed in Vermont in February 2025, charged 25 Canadians, including West, with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. 23 were arrested in March, but West and another suspect, Jimmy Limaki, evaded capture until now. If convicted, West faces up to 40 years in prison. This case highlights the scale of the operation. Call centers in Pointe-Claire, Vaudreuil-Dorion, and Montreal's West Island employed dozens. Many recruited from local gyms like Monster Gym, where West, a bodybuilding enthusiast, allegedly networked. Cross-referencing data from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center and the U.S. FBI's 2024 Internet Crime Report, elder fraud is a growing epidemic. In the U.S., 101,000 seniors reported losses of $3.4 billion in 2024, while Canada's numbers, though smaller, show a similar trend. Why Montreal? Experts like Antonio Nicasso, a Mafia scholar, point to the city's history as a hub for organized crime, with groups like the Ritsuto family allegedly involved in similar scams. The Discret du Quebec, however, insists this case isn't directly linked to other Montreal frauds, suggesting a complex web of independent cells. From a Canadian perspective, this case exposes gaps in our fight against fraud. The RCMP and Discret du Quebec have stepped up raids, with operations like Project Sharp in 2024 arresting 14 scammers targeting Canadian seniors. But prosecuting these cases takes years, hundreds of hours of wiretaps, stackouts, and cross-border coordination. This raises questions about resource allocation. Should Canada invest more in fraud prevention, like public awareness campaigns for seniors, or tougher regulations on call centers and cryptocurrency, which scammers increasingly use? Let's hear from a community perspective. I spoke with Marie Chun, a social worker in Montreal who works with seniors, many from immigrant backgrounds. She told me seniors are terrified. Some of my clients, especially those who don't speak English or French fluently, feel helpless. When they get these calls, they don't know who to trust. Marie's working with local groups to educate seniors, but she says funding for these programs is limited. In Indigenous communities, elders are revered, yet they're also targets. A 2023 report from the Assembly of First Nations noted that Indigenous seniors are less likely to report fraud due to distrust in authorities, compounding their vulnerability. Economically, this scam hurts Canada's reputation. Quebec's tech and call center industries are growing, but cases like this could deter investment if Montreal is seen as a fraud hub. Politically, it's a test for Canada-U.S. cooperation. With West's extradition looming, how will our justice systems balance sovereignty and accountability? That's today's deep dive into the Gareth West Grandparent scam, a case that's shaken trust across borders. For Canadians, it's a wake-up call to protect our seniors and strengthen our defenses against fraud. Whether you're in Montreal, Vancouver, or the prairies, talk to your loved ones about these scams. If someone calls claiming a family member, needs money, hang up, verify with relatives, and report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center at Chinquet, 1-888-495-8501. What do you think about this case? How can we better protect our seniors? Share your thoughts on X at Vox Herald. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay connected, and let's keep building a stronger, safer Canada together. This is Sun One, signing off from Vox Herald.